Welcome to the Braille Drop Podcast. We are here today with very special guest, Ricky Glaser, mate, all the way from Australia. How was that swim?
It was pretty far.
All right, man, this is going to be an interesting one because everybody I've interviewed, I have no idea about their lives at all. And I feel like I know you pretty well. But I want to just get into the deep dive of Ricky Glaser origin story. I'll kind of run through all the things that I do with every guest. But some of the reasons why I started this podcast, you may or may not even know, is kind of to learn more about the industry, specifically the wild ups and downs that are occurring in the industry, and to try and pinpoint and talk about the discussions involved with, like, why do we think sometimes skateboarding gets very popular and then it goes very unpopular? How do we figure out some fixes to that? And then just pretty much anything skateboard related, as you can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So for those of you who don't know, or maybe you're just listening to this for the very first time, Ricky and I have been working together for how long now?
My 3-year America anniversary is in August, so almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years. Okay. So tell your, when did you very, very first see a skateboard? What was your first skateboard? How did that first thing come about?
For sure. It's interesting because there's a photo of me standing on a Star Wars skateboard, and I must be 5 or so. But I have zero recollection of taking the photo, standing on the skateboard, seeing the skateboard, or anything like that. I guess my parents just bought it. It was kind of like a Walmart-y type board with plastic trucks, plastic wheels. Star Wars board, no grip.
Did you ask your parents, where did this photo come from? How did this happen?
I should ask them.
Yeah.
But what I say when I started skating was when I was 8 in 1999. And then there's photos of me doing an ollie, and I have some footage of me going to the skate park, me and my brother, and we're trying to ollie. I'm trying to board slide this. I don't know why I'm trying to board slide. Yeah. But I'm trying to board slide this curb that's
first day.
It was that was the beginning of skating. And it probably wasn't first day, but I kind of could ollie a bit. So I'd already been a little bit comfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, how did I start skating? It was just through that board. I guess we just had some random boards, as you do. You butt board around as a kid. Yeah. But then as I got older, it was through surfing, I think. So I have this family friends in Phillip Island, and he kind of taught us how to surf. Shout out Greg Hogan and Island Surfboard.
Shout out Greg Hogan.
We were learning how to surf, and we would boogie board and stuff. And then I guess through that, some of the surfer people that we were becoming friends with were skaters too. Yeah. And then me and my brother were oh, we want to learn how to ollie. And then I think we actually went to their house, and then at their house they had a PS1 and they had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1. And then
legendary.
Then we see them playing, and we're oh, can we play the game? And then we play the game a little bit. And I think when you turn it on, it has the intro video.
Yes.
And then I remember we see the vert skating, and we're oh, that's what you're supposed to do on the skateboard.
You straight into vert.
It is, yeah. Because it's a lot. It's Tony, Bob, Bucky, mostly vert, right? And a little bit of Jeff Rowley, Musker. And then that was my first exposure to seeing what skateboarding was. And then after that, I was really trying to learn to ollie. And we went to the skate box, and then we're trying to ollie and stuff. And pretty much from then on. And
that was when you were 8 years old?
Yeah.
Do you remember a defining moment where you were that is the coolest, the sickest thing ever? I guess it was when you're watching that video, but do you remember a very distinct...
But see, I was active, and I would just do whatever all the time.
Okay.
So to me, it's oh, skating is another cool thing that I can do. It wasn't I'm all in on skating. But that moment came later on when I was in primary school. I remember maybe 3rd or 4th grade, I used to play football. I used to do athletics, and I used to do long jump and triple jump.
You're still like that, by the way.
Well, I like all stuff. And I did gymnastics as a super young kid, and then as an older kid too.
Yeah.
So I was always doing some stupid thing like that. But I remember, it's funny, I had the school has sports, and I did long jump in the school, and I won in the school. Yeah. Then the next round is you go to the district. I went to the district, and I won triple jump and long jump. Then I went to the district.
Triple jump.
You know what triple jump is?
No. Oh, maybe they're
run,
boom, boom, boom.
You hop. It's called hop, skip, and jump.
Yeah.
You hop, then you take a step, and then you jump. It's kind of just terrible.
So you did good at that.
I won both in the school. Then I go to the district.
Yeah.
Win both in the district too. Then I go to the zone, and I think I won long jump in the zone, and then I come maybe third in the triple jump.
Yeah.
And then I went to the state for long jump.
Yeah.
So that's like big. Then the next one would be national, like Australia.
Yes.
And then in the state, I got smoked.
Oh, really? Whoa. Yeah. So there was a certain level that you went up to that then you got to.
Well, I had never trained or anything.
Yeah,
I just was a kid that liked skating. Oh, I can try to jump.
Yes.
And then like the people at the state level were like actually like trying.
They were working really hard, training their muscles. But it's so funny because I feel like, okay, I'm going to tell Ricky's story real fast. Yeah. Like we went bowling the other day and Ricky's like, bowling is the dumbest sport ever. He's like, it's not even a sport. Whoa, the controversy, shots fired.
People are mad right now.
But he's like, okay, so we play this one game and he's just gutter ball. And he's like, this is just people like spend their life trying to figure out this thing. And then he's like watches a few YouTube tutorials, right? Or something. He's figuring out how to spin the ball, how to roll it. Yeah. And then the next one, I think he did like 3 strikes in a row. And then on his third one, he got up, he said, if I strike this one right here, bowling is the dumbest thing ever. Because he's like, because I just mastered it in like a period of 30 minutes. And not, okay. And
not mastered.
Yeah, let's take that back. Not that he mastered it, but he got, okay, the goal of bowling is I guess it would be a total of 13 frames. Am I correct?
Yeah.
13 frames, you would get 13 strikes in a row. And if he can get 3 strikes in a row, as a brand new beginner playing it for 30 minutes, he's like, oh, this is like so easy. But I look at that and I think that is, I was trying the entire time to get 1 strike. Yeah. I just feel like you're somehow like weirdly talented to like pick something up really fast, learn it.
Yeah.
I also saw this with the unicycle.
Yeah.
And also the pogo sticks. You can like pick up something random.
Yeah.
Random or not. But like, it's funny that you say that. Like as a kid, you would just do everything.
Well, I think that's my strength. And honestly, what I like about life, I don't like going from intermediate skill to expert skill.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of boring. I think it's super fun to go from 0 skill to like, just like intermediate, like sort of being like, I could get good at this if I knew how.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fun. And but I don't want to take too many shots at bowling, but what I was saying is
no hate to the bowlers.
I said out of all the different things that you could choose to do in this life, why would you focus on just spinning a ball like up 13 times? To me, that seems a little bit strange, but you could say the same about skating. Skating is kind of equally pointless, but I think at least you get an exercise and then you try a trick and then you can watch it back and say, I really did that. That was cool. Whereas in bowling, it's like, whoa, I bowled a perfect game. That was so sick. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I just think, you could choose to do something different. Maybe you play guitar and then at least you say, whoa, I wrote this cool song. Like you're kind of getting this cool thing out of it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so interesting, the different like aspects of it. And skateboarding is like, I guess we'll jump right into this. Is skateboarding a sport?
Definitely not.
Tell me everything. See, I already know Ricky's answers, which I think is just funny. But yeah, hit me with it.
Well, I don't know. I guess we were talking about this the other day and you said, wait for the podcast. But like, I just think any kind of competition related to skating is never going to really work out that well.
Yeah.
And the reason is because skating is not this like linear competitive thing. Oh, a kickflip is 20 points and a front 180 is 10 points. Like no matter what, it will never, ever be like that. Never.
But on Tony Hawk Pro Skater, a kickflip is 10 points.
But I think that's great. And like, I don't want to do a kickflip to get 100 points. I want to, I think of it more as like painting a picture.
Yes.
And like if you're having you have a comp and everyone paints a picture. One guy makes an oil painting. One guy does a charcoal pencil. One person does, I don't know, spray paint.
Yes.
How are you going to say one is better than the other? And to me, that's what skating is. Yeah. How can you say, oh, a hard flip, late flip over a hubba is harder than a back nose blunt down the rail? Like, you can't compare them. Yeah. And then for people to try to compare them, it becomes kind of funny because, like, you'll never really get it right no matter how hard you try.
Right. You can have art critics and some people are going to say this Monet painting is so much better than this Picasso painting. Yeah. This one, I think at the end of the day, it's like this one communicates to that guy more.
Yeah.
There's some people who are like, I think Andy Anderson, prime example. He goes to the Olympics. He does all these like cool tricks that are like weird. Nobody has seen them before, or maybe they have seen them, but they're way different than anybody else.
Yeah.
And I think the judges are just like, what do we
But
do with
the
that?
judges are kind of judging you on yourself, which that's why I say it's not a sport, is just because of all these issues, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, if someone else that wasn't Andy Anderson, if Nija just did one of Andy Anderson's tricks,
right,
he would get such a good score. You know what I mean?
Or did Andy Anderson's entire run.
Yeah. And like, same as I was watching the vert comp, and that guy, Guy Curry, he's like this little kid that does 900s really good.
Yes.
But then I just think, if one of these other skaters did a 900 in their run with a bunch of other tricks, they would win, you know?
Yeah.
But then this one kid, because he can spin so easy, they just push him way down. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of random.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's so many factors involved, because the more, then, JD, he's going to all these contests, and his dad comes back and he's like, basically, let's say there's 50 skaters. And if you go and you're the first skater and you do a really good run, low score automatically. And then as the skaters progress, the scores get higher for similar runs, because they're just kind of like building up.
Yeah.
Which, man.
But that's just like, that's how it goes, you know?
Yeah,
like, what else can you do, really? It's like, it would be so funny. Maybe we should just do it as a video for fun.
Yeah.
It's like, an ollie is 10 points. A front 180 is 15 points. A kickflip is 20 points. And then, you know, it would completely, absolutely destroy skating if you ever made a comp like that. But it would be kind of funny, because it's like, all right, I'm trying to get as many points as I can. Why would I do a kickflip down the 3-step for 20 points when I could just do 5 ollies on flat and get 50 points? You know, it would make an interesting dynamic.
That is a good contest. You know what I really like, though? Because I feel like it is a sort of platform that you put skateboarding on that really just kind of works, is a game of skate.
Yeah.
I would love to see a game of skate in the Olympics.
That's honestly what I thought would be cool, is like, I mean, it would be kind of stupid, but like, I'm down for it.
Yeah.
It's like fastest sprint on a skateboard, because then there's no subjectivity.
That's
like
Braille Olympics.
One person won because they went the fastest, but then hurdles ollie over the thing and sprint 400-meter hurdles. Like, that would be sick. Like, that would be funny. And then people are training.
It would be funny.
Imagine if people are training for 400-meter hurdles skate race. But like, to us, it sounds so stupid, but why don't you think about some of the other Olympic events? People are literally riding a bike in a circle. Like,
right.
How is that any different from skate hurdles?
Right. Well, you think about any of these things that are made up. I mean, yeah, you think about the Guinness Book of World Records and where that came from. And now it's like this big thing that's like, oh, we want this guy to come. Like, we've been trying to get the guy to come to the Braille warehouse so we can like break the Guinness World Records. And he's like, oh, well, it's a fee. And it's a whole business.
That's like $5,000.
Yeah, it's wild. But it just came about from them trying to promote Guinness beer.
Yeah.
It's like the weirdest. You're like, wait, what? These two things are related? When I found that out, I was like,
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure we should actually Google it.
Is Guinness from the UK? Like, because I know that the world records are.
Let me check the fact checker, which is called Google.
Mine's called ChatGPT.
Uh-oh. I may have just literally made that entire thing up.
Really?
Oh, hold on. Okay, here we go. The Guinness Book of World Records, which inspires tens of thousands of people annually to attempt record-breaking feats, began as an idea conceived by British engineer and industrialist Sir Hugh Beaver, the managing director of the Guinness Brewery, to solve trivia questions among bar patrons.
Isn't that? It's like a little bit sad. It's like it's an ad. The whole thing was just an ad. I tell you what. But I don't know. Ads influence pop culture so much. Like, look up the origin of like Santa Claus, and you'll be instantly bummed.
I know. But these things sort of like metamorphosize into something interesting.
Well, kind of, but then kind of as well. And I think diamond ring as well. Like, engagement ring,
yes,
you give a diamond. That's just marketing as well.
100%. And now every girl, you know, it becomes this thing of like, that's a fake ring. I will never marry you.
Like what you say, it becomes a part of like
culture.
Culture, yeah.
Yes. Super interesting. Okay, so backing up to the skateboard world. So I think it's very interesting that you were a kid and you had tried all of these different things.
Yeah, so back to my original story. I got smoked in the state long jump.
Yeah.
And then I remember after that, I was skating a lot, and I'm like, oh, I didn't really care about football, athletics, gymnastics, anything. I just care about skating. I remember I said that to my friend, and I'm like, yeah, I just care about skating.
How old were you then?
I think it was grade 4. So 4 is like if you're 5 in prep, 6 in 1, 7 in 2, 8 in 3.
I love these words. Prep,
9.
primary school. We got none of that.
I guess I was 9. So I guess I've been skating 1 year.
9 years. So you've been skating 1 year. You're 9 years old, and then you tell your friend, "I don't care about anything else. I just want to skate."
I think right then I could ollie some stairs. I know I can do a good kickflip off of 1 stair by my 10th birthday. So at this 9 time, I'm probably like getting there. Probably can kickflip already.
Progressing really fast.
Well, I mean, still kind of slow if I've been skating a whole year. But it's like when you're a little kid, it's not like you're trying to kickflip straight away. Right. You're more just like having fun.
Well, we would hope, but there's a lot of, that's a good lesson for all the kids out there. When you're a kid and you're skating, just have fun. And in fact, when you're adult and you're skating,
well, this is the difference is I think when an adult skates, say they're 25, they say, I must ollie, I must front 180, I must kickflip. But when you're 10, you literally just roll around. Oh, yeah, cool. This is cool. There's no concept of like, I must kickflip.
But even that is kind of an interesting thing to think about. I did this podcast last night with the Brittle Bones Brigade. Shout out Brittle Bones Brigade. And he was like, I have been skating. He had been skating for a number of years, but he was sort of off and on. And so recently it was like 6 years, like 3 years pretty steadily. And then 3 years where he had like kids where he was like skating a bit less. Yeah. And he's like, I've never landed a kickflip. Yeah. But he just hasn't like fully gone for it. And he's kind of like, I'm just going to do tricks, have fun, like boneless finger flip, etc. All kinds of like cool stuff that he'll do. And I think like, I'm like, oh, that's so almost like the like pure, that's like the just pure skateboard enjoyment. Yeah. Which is so, it's interesting. It's an interesting factor. Okay, but what was it? My big question, maybe maybe you have no idea, but what was it about skateboarding that was different than football, basketball, all the other things that you were doing?
I think it's, I like being creative. I like being physically challenged, and I like being mentally challenged. And even as a kid, I think I recognized that in skateboarding, I have these 3 things, and I have complete freedom. I can go skate by myself. I don't even need to be with my parents or whatever. I can just be focused in my own little world. All I need is some concrete, Yes. And I really like that. And what I didn't like about football or long jump or whatever, it's like you have to go to the team and go to the event, and then
now your coach will make you run.
Yeah. Even surfing and snowboarding, I liked a little bit as a kid, but surfing's like my mom has to drive me to the beach, and we have to look at the tide, and it has to work out. And it's like, no. I want to try kickflip 100 times right now. I don't want to wait around.
the very impatient Ricky Glaser comes out.
Well, it's just like I honestly, if surfing or something else could be like that, I probably would have done that.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think it's funny. Sometimes we'll be filming a video and we'll be like, okay, let's see how many kickflips to rip this shoe. And Rick would be like, great, let's go. Come on, land the kickflips. Why are you only at 3? You should be at 30.
It's funny to see other people, how they approach skating. Because when I try a trick, my provocative is I want to be ready to do an attempt again as fast as I can. Yeah. If I have to wait on the filmer, if I have to wait on me, if I have to do anything, I'm annoyed. I want to just try. Whereas like when you do a trick, I want to get the special meter up. I want to land my 3 tricks first and then do it. To me, that's like, so I'm like, no, I would never do that.
Yeah. Let's talk about that though, because it really depends on the trick. So like, let's say I'm filming for a video part and I'm trying fakey big double flip Manny. Yeah. In that scenario, I want just to try the trick as many times as possible.
Yeah. Okay.
But when the trick is mentally, when I'm scared to do it, that's where I have to add in the additional little stuff. And it's like, what does Andrew Reynolds call it?
The madness.
The madness. So Andrew Reynolds calls it the madness, and he'll be at this big gap.
Unlock the door 6 times, relock it, unlock it, relock it, unlock it, relock it. And if he does it 1 extra time, then he has to do it all again.
Right. They'll have like board taps.
Yeah. He has to say, yep, you're ready. Okay.
And and it is a little bit maddening. It is a little madness.
Sometimes I can feel that I want to do stuff like that. But then in my mind, I say like, nah, Ricky, you don't want to be like that. Fight against that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel that because you're Yeah. So, man, talk about the healthy fear, Rick. I mean, I feel like I could just tell the story, but
Yeah.
like tell the idea of healthy fear.
Well, I just say like, it's important to understand like the risks that you're undertaking.
Yes.
And if it's, some people say, "Oh, I wish I could have no fear. I wish I could have no pain." It's like absolutely not, because
Right.
you'll do something way too gnarly, and then terrible things will happen.
Right.
It's like you want to approach it with the appropriate amount of fear, so your brain really understands. It's very important that I commit to getting onto this rail. Otherwise, I'm gonna sag, and it's gonna be terrible.
Right.
So like I like to overthink things, and especially as an adult, when it's funny, like I look at some of the things I did as a kid when I was skating,
Yeah.
and I would like ollie a big stair, and then there's like this sharp thing right at the end, and I just stop in time, and I just no worries in the world.
Right.
But now I would go there and I'd be like, whoa, I don't want to stop right next to this thing. What if I hit this thing with my head or whatever? Like,
Yes.
It's funny how as an adult I'm really aware of that, where as a kid it's not on your radar at all.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of there's got to be like some sort of a good balance, because you weren't here when I front boarded the rail.
Yeah.
But I literally my line was 50-50 the flat bar, ride up, do a 180, front board the small rail, ride down, tray flip up the ramp, and then turn and then front board the 5 stair.
Yeah.
I had to do all of that. And I had to do all of that before every attempt, because I would not jump onto that rail, because going backwards down a rail, Ricky does this in his sleep. It's like the easiest thing ever. For me, I'm like, I'll die.
But see, to me, maybe I need to skate a bigger rail that would get me sort of on that wavelength. Like if you said, "Oh, you got a front board at 20 stair."
Yeah.
Well, then, I really want my front boards to feel exactly right.
Yes.
Then, like maybe I would have to do something like that. But even still, in my mind,
work up to it. Yeah.
Probably what I would do is practice a couple and then just say, "All right, here we go."
Right. And I
would try, because
slam it.
Well, this is what I say. I say this to Janice, my girlfriend, a lot, and I say this to other people, is that like people understand I want to have strong muscles.
Yeah.
I must do push-ups every day, work out every day, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? People understand that concept super well. But I think in your mind, it is the same. If you say like, I want to have discipline.
Yes.
You can't just one day say, you know what, from now on, I'm going to be disciplined. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
You have to train the same. You have to like work the strength. You can say, every time I have a decision about discipline, I'm going to choose discipline, and then like build up to being really disciplined.
So how do you do it?
Well,
like, what do you do exactly?
Well, like some stuff that I used to do when I was a kid is like, when I roll up to things, I would never allow myself to say, I'm going to go for it, and then like roll up and not go for it. I would say like, if you are saying you're going to go for it, you are going to go for it.
100%.
And like, of course, sometimes I did and didn't go for it. But then when that happened, I would be so angry at myself. I'd be like, it would be like the worst thing ever. I'd be like, I can't believe you just did that. That's super unacceptable. Like you can never do that.
Yeah.
And then I would really
be hard on yourself.
Yeah, totally. And I would really try not to do that. And I think like, even not in skating, just in life, like some things like that. Another one I used to do when I was younger is I said, whenever my alarm clock goes off, I have to stand up straight away. Like no matter what.
Yeah. I knew about that. And if you weren't going to bring that up, I was going to bring that up.
But
what he's talking about is the alarm clock when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
So you're laying in bed, you're sleeping, your alarm clock goes off, and most people are like,
snooze for 10 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying that that's bad, but I'm saying like, if you are trying to improve your discipline, you make a decision and then you say, I'm only going to do that from now on. And then the alarm clock goes off. You feel terrible. You only slept 5 hours. You wake up, boom, you're ready. And then you're like, whoa.
So explain like your alarm clock goes off. You literally stand
up. Yeah. And then like, anyone could stand up. Like anyone can do that. But if you do that over a long period of time, I think it's like kind of training your discipline.
100%.
And like you could obviously do more extreme stuff. Like that's just kind of like a small example.
Like ice baths or something.
Yeah, I did a period of time where I was like, I'm only gonna have cold showers. Can't remember how long it was. I think I did it for like 3 months.
I think it's good for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it in the sense of it's good for your discipline. It's like, I really do not want to do this at all right now, but there's no other choice. I must do this.
Where do you learn these things?
I don't know. I feel like I kind of just made it up a little bit.
Really?
But I think it's based, maybe I heard someone say the concept of like, your mind is a muscle, and like, if you want to improve on discipline or other things, even patience, you want to improve patience, you're standing in the line at the grocery, say to yourself, I am going to practice my patience right now. I'm going to stand here and do nothing,
Yeah, and let it go and just be there. Yeah, that's so interesting. Well, I think skateboarding has a lot of these lessons in it, and it kind of like goes hand in hand.
Like, well, like even just learning a trick. This is what I say to people is like, if someone can land a 360 flip, it is a representation of, at the very minimum, years of them working towards a goal.
Right.
Like some people in their life, they don't really have things like that.
Right.
And like skateboarding, it's kind of really reinforcing that, like, you put in the work to this thing, there's no reason that you cannot do this. Like, anyone can learn to kickflip. There's absolutely nothing that will ever stop you.
100%.
It's just you have to understand that you will be able to do it.
And some people are going to do it faster than others, and you have to push through the effort to get there.
Yeah.
You know, like with Brittle Bones Brigade, I was like, I can 1000% teach you a kickflip guaranteed, but you are going to have to put in the work. Yeah. I'm going to give you like a regimen to do every day. You're going to do these tricks in this order and build yourself up to it. And what do you think about that kind of approach to teaching skateboarding?
I think it's good, but that's what it comes back to. It's like skateboarding, like what I said, skateboarding is physical and mental. It's you can't read a book. Oh, to kickflip, you tip up the tail, slide the foot, and then be able to do it. You have to go through actually doing it.
What's up, everyone? Let me take a quick break here to tell you about Braille Army Plus, the membership platform designed by me to teach you how to ride a skateboard. Have you ever been wondering, man, if I just knew the correct technique to do this kickflip, I could get it? Or maybe you thought to yourself, if I just had Aaron Cairo to teach me how to ollie, I know I could land this. Well, I designed the Braille Army Plus membership for that thing specifically. You sign up on brailleskateboarding.com/army, and you can get started messaging me on the members only Discord right away. You can send me a clip and ask me, hey Aaron, what am I doing wrong with this? And I will tell you the exact technique, the exact practice step. I'll even tell you exactly what you should be doing each and every day to improve in your skateboarding over a long period of time. If you're practicing the correct tricks in the correct way, I 100% guarantee that you will be progressing on your skateboard. So join the best group on the entire internet and join Braille Army Plus. brailleskateboarding.com/army. I'll see you in there shredding. Thanks for checking it out, and now back to the interview. Okay, so what other things do you think are like, you learned this thing from skateboarding and it goes over into your life? Like general kind of, I don't know what you call them. I kind of want to call them life lessons.
Yeah. I mean, like the obvious one is like, oh, you fall down and you got to get back up and try again. But I think maybe that's even, we're too deep in skateboarding that we can't even see it. But the concept of like knowing that when you ollie the set, you're never gonna, or learn a trick.
Yes.
It's impossible to learn it in one try. It's impossible to ollie the set in one try. You're gonna slam. Like, we understand it will probably take an hour to learn this trick or to do this trick, right? Yeah. That concept is very in our mind. But someone else, maybe they want to start a business or they want to do something. They want it to be first try. No matter what, they're like, oh, it better be first try. Otherwise, I'm going to look silly and like it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
But I think skating teaches you that in life and in anything that you do, you got to slam it up, slam, slam, slam. And then you will get to the goal, but you just have to go through the process to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the most valuable life lessons there is, period.
Yeah.
Because so many people, like no matter what it is, it's the business or the girlfriend you want to marry or whatever it is. It's like failure, 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 failure. And then I swear it's right before they're about to achieve the goal.
Yeah.
They give up.
Yeah.
And that's
but that's what they say is like, you didn't fail until you stop trying. So you try. You have the choice. Do I fail now or do I keep try eventually and you'll get there?
Yeah. If you take like the idea that it's literally impossible to fail.
Yeah.
The only way that you can fail is if you stop trying.
Yeah.
If you just keep on going, no matter what, that's going to come through. But sometimes, man, sometimes it's brutally hard to keep going.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's like maybe your time horizon is not right. You know, maybe it's not today is not the day.
Right.
Maybe this month is not the month. Maybe this year is not the year. But you have to just keep going through it.
Right. And are there any little like tricks that you do? I know there are some with skateboarding that you do where you're like, I am going to make myself keep going on this trick. Let's see. I'm thinking of one. I'm going to see how you answer.
Well, like sometimes like I don't like to break the rhythm up if I'm trying a trick.
Yeah.
'Cause I like the rhythm of I try, I bail, I walk to my place, I'm ready again, and then I go. So like sometimes I won't drink water until like I land the trick.
Yeah, very meticulous.
Which is probably not the best idea. Like,
Yeah.
you probably should drink water if you're trying a trick. You probably should just take a 10-minute break. But I tend to not like to take breaks. But
right, same.
I listened to a story of Chris Haslam getting like really hospitalized from dehydration, and that kind of like scared me a little bit.
So I'm out at this spot with Ricky. It's these two metal ledges, and he's trying Smith grind, kickflip, crooked grind, right?
Yeah.
And we're just there in the blistering sun. He probably tried it for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like the most brutal session ever. And then afterwards, he has this cookie, just throws it on the ground. You remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like, Ricky, what are you doing? And he was like, I will not eat the cookie because I told myself I need to land this trick.
Yeah. I sometimes would do stuff like that. In Australia, I used to do stuff like that and be like, I want to do this trick. Usually I would say it of a spot I already had been to. So I have like a good idea.
Yeah.
I'd be like, today I'm going to go to this spot and I'm going to do this trick. And then if I wouldn't do it like that, I would like not let I'll buy something like nice for myself and I would not eat it or something like that.
Yeah.
But I would do stupid stuff. I used to go in Australia, we have like, I think here it's called Coston, the ice cream place.
Yes.
In Australia, it's called Cold Rock. And it's like really unhealthy and it's like really expensive ice cream. They put like gummy bears and stuff in it. And every time I would like not land a trick, like try to film a trick with my friends and not land it, I would go to the ice cream place. Not to make myself feel better, but to like punish myself to like waste money and eat the unhealthy thing.
Oh, you didn't land the trick. You would go and get the ice cream.
Yeah.
What?
And then after a while, I self-banned myself from going to Cold Rock. And I didn't eat ice cream for a really long time, but now I have eaten it a few times since then.
Because you didn't like ice cream? It seems like a reward to eat ice cream.
I don't know. I try to eat like healthy and stuff. And especially at that time, I was eating pretty healthy. And it would be like, whoa, like I'm breaking it all to eat this ice cream.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one's kind of random.
No, I like it. I think it's an interesting way. Like most people would just be like, okay, I gave up on this trick.
But see,
it's too hard.
This is the thing is that like I take things super serious. And that, like to me, if I don't land the trick, it's not like, oh, whatever, go home and chill.
Right.
It's like, you must do this. Like you have to do this. Like this is really important. Like I feel like that's the only way that you will really learn things is like you have to give it the right amount of importance. Same as learn to kickflip. If you just say, oh, maybe I'll learn it, maybe I won't, then like, you know, it's more likely that you won't. But if you say, I'm going to do it every day, I'm trying to do it, I'm trying to get better, I'm going to do it, like then no one will stop you.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. But where does that mindset come from? Where did you get that?
I don't know.
If you have no idea, that's still a fine answer.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really interesting one. And I almost feel like it's so interesting because you're like, skateboarding is freedom. It's open to anybody. But
yeah, but
you're
then
so hard. Exactly. That's what I mean. We talk a lot about the Olympics, you know, and how Ricky and I have had this conversation before about the Olympics is, you know, there's many viewpoints. We could probably spend 5 hours talking about it. I have the viewpoint that like it's good because it brings more people's attention to skateboarding. And then we were talking about, well, you're going to have these little kids growing up that don't just have the freedom fun that we were talking about. Just ride the skateboard and have fun.
Yeah.
They will be here. You're a kid, brand new skater. Your coach is there going, you will now front crook.
Yeah.
And you're not getting dinner until you land the front crook.
Yeah.
You know?
I hate the word train. When anyone says, blah, 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 I'm going to train on my whatever trick. It's like, are you training or are you just skating to have fun? Because if you're training, like maybe you should go do something else, you know?
Yeah.
Because to me, skating should absolutely not be about training. And like, but it's funny that it's funny to contrast this with what I was saying before.
Yes.
Is that like, I'm super hard on myself and I want to improve. But then like, I would never consider that training. I would consider that whole process is like the fun process of skateboarding.
Yeah. And you'll even go to the gym and work out and build your muscles in order to get better at skateboarding, which somebody would say, well, you're
training.
You are training. You're a professional athlete that is training.
Yeah.
And you would be like, ugh, I hate that. Get away from me. You're like, I'm an artist painting Picasso.
Is when you paint a picture,
yeah,
and it's not for any reason, you just paint it for fun. Are you training or are you just painting a picture?
Good question.
We'll never know.
Very well. It's up to opinion and subjectivity.
Yeah.
Really, which so much of skateboarding is.
It's funny though, but like my personality is kind of like a certain type of way, and I say to my friends or whatever, is like if I was a kid and my parents said to me, "All right, Ricky, we got you a coach today. We're gonna work on heel flips. You got to give me 50 heel flips." I would instantly quit skating. That is not what I signed up for.
Yes.
Like I would not identify with that. I would not vibe with that. I would be done and I would do something else,
Right.
But it's funny that like I would do that, I love skating.
Yes.
But if that was how it had to go, I wouldn't be down.
Yes. I feel like the coach says, Ricky, you must do 50 kickflips, and you're like, I'm out. But if you wake up and you're like,
yeah, I'll do 1,000.
Literally, you would literally do 1,000 on a 24-hour live stream and just do it just for fun. But that's, I think that's part of the freedom of it.
Yeah, that's what I like about skating, the autonomy. Do whatever you want.
Yes.
Work hard or just chill. Like, it's up to you.
Right. And with that same thing, it's like, if you work hard, you get these results.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So many tangents I could go into from there. But okay, so let's take it back. So you're a kid, now you're skating, you're 9 years old, you decided this is the thing that I'm going to do. You picked it up out of all these other sports, and then you carried it forward. And when was how was your high school /
I got sponsored by the surf homies, the shop, Island Surfboards.
Shout out Island Surfboards.
Yeah. My first sponsor. They were good to me. I want to say I was like 13 maybe, or like around that young age. I think I was still in primary school, so maybe I'm even like 12.
Yeah.
And then I was sponsored by them for a while, and they would pretty much give me boards and everything for free.
Yeah.
And then
just go in whenever you want, pick up whatever.
Pretty much, yeah. I think there was some loose rules that it was like you can spend this much money in 12 months or whatever.
Oh yeah, okay.
But it was pretty much just like I would get boards and shoes, and I would get random stuff too. I remember I got like Bam Margera sweatbands with the like hologram. Like
Ricky is Bam Margera's biggest fan.
Yeah, for sure. I still have those. I have them in my house right now.
Yeah.
And I would get skate videos too. I get DVDs. I remember I got like Foundation That's Life and like a bunch of ones from them.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got sponsored by like Folklore's company. They had like 2 companies, Folklore, and they had another one called Urban Skater.
Shout out Folklore.
Yeah. And I don't know if they still do Urban Skater. I don't think so. But they would kind of just put me on flow. And I remember they're like, yeah, we want to give you discount boards. And then my mom was like at the skate park too. And she's like, well, he already gets everything for free from Island Surfboards. So like, why would he do that? And then they're like, all right, we'll give you free boards.
The sponsorship discount boards.
Yeah. And then I was on the flow for Urban, and then eventually got like proper on the team for Folklore. But that was kind of like a long process. And then I had like...
What's the process? Like for all the kids out there that go, I want to get sponsored.
I think, okay, so let's say I was 12 when I got sponsored by Island. Then I think I was like 15 when I got like Urban Skater kind of flow.
Yeah.
And at this time, I'm going in all comps and stuff. I used to go in a lot of under 12 comps. And it's funny, like I would just, I don't know, I would win a lot of them, and I would win a bunch of stuff and like...
Yeah.
And then when I was kind of like 15, 16, like around this Urban Skater time, I got a group of friends where they had like a mini DV camera, and then we would start street skating and film, and they were a bit older than me too.
VX1000?
Not yet. So first it was a different one, and then when you got the VX, we're like, whoa, he has the VX. Like, oh my God.
Legendary status. That was straight 411 style.
Yeah, exactly. And they were a bit older, so they kind of knew how to catch the trains and like how to film and like where the spots were and the stuff. So they like taught me a lot about that and about like the scene kind of.
Yeah.
And then when I was in with that, never went into comp ever again.
Okay, what happened there?
I don't know. I guess
the skateboard culture is very interesting.
Because when I was a kid, I would just do anything skating. Anything to do with skating, I'm in. Yeah. I'm all in. But then at that time, I guess I was more like finding myself, and I was like, oh, okay, like I don't really care about the comp. I more care about doing tricks and like filming street stuff.
Okay, then it went into video part mode.
Yeah, pretty much.
What was the like time era? So like give me in a way that I can understand.
Like what year?
Like
so if I'm like 15,
like a girl, right era.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's like I would watch Girl You're Right and Hot Chocolate, and then I would go skate with them.
Yeah, legendary video part. I feel like skateboarding has changed so much.
Yeah.
And back when I was a kid, that's what you would do. My first video was 4-in-1 Video Magazine 10.
Oh, really?
Do you remember what like number you were at around this time?
So like I didn't watch that many 4-in-1s. My first like skate video is, I remember it was like we moved house and then I seen this guy skating in the front and then we kind of become friends. He's like my neighbor and then he showed me Sorry on, I think it might have been on VHS. I think it might have been VHS.
Yeah,
we watched it.
Flip video Sorry.
Yeah, we watched it at his house on VHS. And then I don't know what my next video was. But then,
what was that like for you?
Well, it was sick.
Yeah, like
because like the videos that I
like seeing it for the first time.
Well, the videos that I used to watch would be like MTV plays skating for like 10 minutes, or like Tony Hawk's cutscene when you unlock the character, like 1 minute video part. Like that's the kind of stuff I watched. So then to watch a full video of like full skating, I was like, whoa, like this is so sick.
Yeah, what was it like?
I was just hype. I was amazed because like I didn't even know how to get video. Like I don't even know if apart from I think this was before I'm sponsored. I never even really went to a skate shop or anything. So like, how would I even get a skate video?
Yeah.
Like I can't really.
Yeah.
And then it was more like slowly becoming unlocked. I remember not even knowing that skate shoes existed because I would skate
whatever,
just runners or whatever. Yeah. And then I'd be like, man, I imagine if they had shoes for skating.
It's like the golden era of skateboard shoes.
Yeah, mine first shoes were DCs, I remember, and they come with a fingerboard and like a cardboard ramp, and I was hype on that.
DC shoes that came with a fingerboard, and you were stoked.
Yeah,
that is the sickest thing ever.
Yeah,
I remember seeing Flip Sorry, but this was like I had watched.
I think when I watched Flip Sorry, though, it had already been out for a while.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
but that was
like just come out.
But still, I mean, just I don't know what to say, but the way the like production value of these videos were and the amount of effort that was put into them to make them mind-blowingly incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos are completely unreal, you know, and you watch it and then you have the different skaters with their different styles and then you have the different music.
Well, what's funny as well is Sorry like had a lot of hijinks and stuff too, like Ali Bilal and stuff going crazy. And I'm just a little kid, like I don't really understand what's happening.
But what did you think about that?
I remember thinking if you watch Sorry again, it has this host. I don't know, is the guy like famous in England, like Johnny Rotten, that guy? I don't know if he was.
I think he's like a famous punk rocker or something, right?
Yeah, I remember being very confused that he was like the host, and I was like what's happening? I was like, who is this guy? Is he a skater? I remember thinking like, is this guy not a skater? Like, why is he in the video?
He's from the Sex Pistols.
Oh, really?
Well, if it's Johnny Rotten,
I'm pretty sure to get a photo. If it's pretty sure it is.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. From the Sex Pistols. I mean, I wonder I bet there's some incredible stories of like, how did they convince that guy?
Yeah.
You know, like this story, I just seen the story of like, how did they get Owen Wilson to be in the Yeah Right video?
Yeah.
They just sent him the script and then apparently he like messaged back and said like, I can't memorize this. This is like a different language.
Yeah.
Like, so skateboarding is it is a different language.
Yeah.
It's out there. It's wild. But I think the video part concept is so interesting because it almost like spreads the culture of skateboarding around.
Yeah.
But you're kind of like in Australia as a little kid, a little bit isolated.
Yeah, totally.
From, I don't know. I was as well. I was in Montana, very, very small town and very isolated. And then I think about Flip Sorry, which is also very international.
But see, like my city had a good scene. Like they would have events and comps and skate lessons and clinics and all that kind of stuff. And like whenever there would be a demo, like I went to a lot of demos as a little kid. I remember there was like a girl demo and like Mark Johnson, Chris Roberts. And they were the ones I remember. Some others probably.
So you saw all of them?
Yeah. I think it was 2000 and I think it would have been, I don't know if it was pre-Girl You're Right or like just around that time. So that would have been 2003. So it's probably like 2004 or 5.
And what was your viewpoint of them?
Yeah, I thought it was sick. Like, it's crazy because as a kid in Australia, seeing a pro is like, you can't even comprehend it.
Right.
It's probably the same in Montana.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Whereas here in America, I feel like it's, oh yeah, the pro comes here sometimes. Like, haha.
Well, I'm interested to know your viewpoint from like you're a little kid. You see these guys, you're like, dude, these guys are rock stars.
Yeah.
They're like the most amazing people ever. And now, I don't know, 25 odd years later, now you're in America, in LA.
Yeah.
And you go to the skate park and you see the same skaters. And now your viewpoint is probably shifted 1,000 degrees.
Yeah.
What is it like?
It's kind of crazy to think about that. It's funny, like, people say to me, like, oh my God, Ricky, like, you got me into skating or whatever. And, like, I almost can't even, like, comprehend.
Yes.
Like, I kind of, my mind almost says, it's like, don't worry, don't even listen to that. Like, don't worry about that.
Yeah, same.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's like, it's too much almost.
Yeah. But, like, why is it too much?
I don't know. It's just a lot.
Why?
I don't know. Actually, I should tell this story as well, because this, I don't know, people say that, I mean, I guess like our whole thing is like kind to beginners and like inclusive and like everything is nice.
Yeah.
There was this one guy in Australia, he was like an OG pro, Luke Jaffa Curtis.
Yeah.
Back in the early, I guess in like the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah.
And I went to like the Royal Melbourne show in Australia, and then they had some skate events on. And then there was like, I guess it was like a session kind of thing. And you skate with like the coach, the pro or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that. And he was real cool. And then he was like stoked on my skating or whatever. And he gave me his used board and wheels. And he's like, oh, I need the trucks. I remember that. He was like, oh, I need the trucks there.
Classic skater.
And then I think for some reason I went back to the show like a couple of weeks later. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll give you a brand new board. And then he gave me like a new board. And I was like so hype and like so stoked on that.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, I kind of think back to that interaction. And like, if he had been like just negative and just like not wanting to coach me and just go as soon as he could, like it would have made a big difference to me.
Yeah.
But to see him be like so chill, so nice, give me a board, whatever, I think that had a big impact on me. So
I'm sure.
Cool how it can go like that, you know?
Yeah. And I do feel like, you know, we're in this interesting position where we do influence a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we do get that a lot. And I feel like, yeah, maybe it kind of, for me as well, maybe it just brushes off my back a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Like I was shopping with my wife the other day. She's buying some shirts, and this guy who works in the store is like, "Are you Aaron Cairo?"
Yeah.
And then I'm always like, "Yeah." And I don't know how to feel about that. I just feel kind of odd, maybe awkward a little bit.
Yeah.
And then my wife like slaps me on the arm. She's like, be a little nicer. I'm like, I'm not nice. I just don't even know what to say. It's like, it's an interesting thing. You know?
It's funny as well as like when they come and talk to you, that's sick. I'm hyped to meet anyone. I'm stoked.
Always.
But
yes,
when it gets weird is you go to the skate park and you can tell that someone has like, whoa, noticed that it's you. And then you're kind of in this awkward thing where like, I don't know, maybe you're trying to relax and you had a long day or whatever, but then they really like, you can see that they're watching your presence. And then you're like, I don't know how to behave right now.
Yeah. Or sometimes you're like, I don't know why they're being like this.
Yeah.
Like when we went to Waller Street and we were skating the park, we were skating there for quite some time, maybe at least an hour. And then there were these kids and I was like, dang, these kids are vibing up. These kids hate me. Yeah. Like these kids that legit hate me. And then after we're done, we're putting everything away, packing up the bags. They came up and they were like, hey, could we get photos with you? We didn't want to bother you. Yeah. And I was like, I just completely read that whole situation wrong.
Yeah. I got a funny story. I went the other day to, Jeremy Green had like a vert event. I can't remember what he called it, but the first annual whatever Jeremy Green's vert event was called.
Yeah. Shout out Jeremy Green. You are a shredder, a total ripper.
TikTok homie.
Yeah.
But anyway, Steve Caballero was there and I was like, oh, like I know that he follows me on Instagram and he would always be hyped that I was skating half cabs for a long time.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I got to talk to him. And then I was saying to Janice, my girlfriend, I'm like, oh, like I want to talk to him. But he's in a band and he was like playing on the show and he was kind of busy and he's with his wife or whatever.
Yes.
And then it's funny because I was like, oh, I don't know when I should go. I don't know if I should talk to him. I don't know how to get the photo. I was feeling all these funny feelings. And then I went and talked to him. Oh, like, I think I tried to talk to him and I didn't. And then in that time after I didn't, these other kids come up to me and they're like, oh my God, are you Ricky? Can we take a photo? Blah, blah, blah. And then they took the photo. And then I just said to Janice, I'm like, dang, they're braver than me.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what to say. And I'm the one that will say, it's like, please don't be scared. Come up to us anytime. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like we work so hard to make videos for people so that you guys can have the similar experiences that we do.
Totally. But it's funny though, because then it is scary. It is hard. I did talk to Steve after that, but like, I don't think I took a photo. Oh, no.
Yeah. It's nerve wracking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell a story similar that I had. I was in LA and we went to the schoolyard and it was so random. I forget who invited us, but it was like me, Andy Schrock, and a bunch of like the YouTube skaters, which is a very different world than like skateboarding. Like, I don't know, how do you even want to differentiate?
Yeah.
But then we're all skating these picnic tables, and Brandon Biebel shows up. Eric Coston shows up, and I was always like, whatever. Like the pros are super sick. I really, really am like so like. I think they're amazing. I'm a skate rat. I'll always be a skate rat, but I've never like freaking froze. But when I saw Eric Coston, I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Like I literally was just like, that's Eric Coston. I tried everything I could to like say something and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't even say like, hi, I love your skating. So sick. I just couldn't say anything. We just left. I was like, I can't handle it. He was there trying like, I think it was like 180 switch Manny switch backside 3 off the table. I think it was a trick that he actually did.
Jason Dill's ender in Minefield, I believe.
Oh yeah, and I think he did do it. I think he did it super well. Maybe it wasn't even that day, but I was just like, that's also another odd situation of somebody's trying to film a hard trick.
Yeah,
you don't want to be like, hey bro, I love you. Can we take a picture?
Sometimes, like I love when people come up to me, but maybe if a kid comes up to me while like I'm in the middle of filming a trick, I was like talk to him a little bit, like, hey, you reckon I can do this? Let's try it. Like, watch this.
Yeah,
try.
Yeah, and then sometimes, oh man, I'll be like really stressing about landing something, and they'll be like, "Hey," and I'll be like, "Yeah, let me get 2. Can I get 3 more tries?" And they're like, "Yeah, of course." It's always like cool, but man, sometimes, like you were saying before, when you're in the repetition of just trying the trick, you don't even want to take a drink of water.
Yeah, exactly.
Let alone like stop.
You don't want to break the rhythm.
Yeah, you broke the rhythm, and then it kind of throws off your like mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a kid. You get sponsored by Folklore.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening from there?
Then it was kind of like, honestly, like I could never really take the next step after that for a long time. And
from
it's like
flow to am, or your am?
No, so I got like on the team, like on the proper team.
But paid or no?
No.
Okay.
So like I was on the team and repping, just getting stuff for free, but yeah, not getting paid in any kind of way.
Yeah.
And then like not really like seeing any other progression or like any other like prospects kind of thing. And like I would occasionally get photos in the magazine or get like video.
What are we talking about in the magazine here?
In Australian magazines. So
yeah, which is called...
We had like Slam Skate Mag, then we had Skateboarders Journal, then we have another one called Fucking Oath.
So sick. Shout out Skateboarders Journal. I don't know the other one. Fork and Oath. I never heard of that one.
That one's a bit smaller. There was like a few other ones. There was like some random ones that come and go, but they were like the main ones. I think I got in all of them.
And how would that happen?
It would be hard. Like in what I found is like I would struggle a bit because to me, skating is this internal thing of me doing tricks. And like I even said about me growing up, I didn't really go skating to go skating with other people. I went skating to have this process of learning hard tricks and having fun. And like the social aspect of skating was very low on my like radar of why I liked skating.
Right.
And then when I was in the mix of being a sponsored skater, trying to network and like get in the magazines and like things like that.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of realized like, oh, this is different than just doing hard tricks. Because I would always be like, oh, I can do the hardest trick ever. Like, why aren't I in the magazine? Like, I should have my photo in the magazine because I can do such a hard trick.
Yes.
But then it took me a while to realize, like, well, you got to be more in the scene. You got to have personality. You got to be representing the brand. Like, all these things is separate just from being a good skater. It's almost like being a good skater qualifies you to now be in the position to show all these other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what are those other things? Like...
Well, I guess it's just like, I mean, this is what's interesting about skating is that, like what we talked about, advertising is like the most important. Advertising has such an impact on society, like what we were saying at the very start. It's kind of the same. You be a sponsored skateboarder, you are advertising. It's like you're representing the brand. So it's like you need to be getting exposure. You need to be presenting the brand in a positive way. Like you need to be doing all these things that in turn become an ad and lead people to buying from the brand, right?
Right. Right. And then that needs to, it's a factor of exchange.
Yeah. It's like a value exchange. Yeah. But I was never too good at the networking. Like for a long time, I would just do hard tricks, skate with my friends and film cool videos. But then I was never really like, there'd be a big event and I just wouldn't go because like, I'm just like, oh, like I don't need to go, you know, like it wasn't really my thing.
Yeah. It's the hardest part.
Yeah. But then after a while, I kind of realized that. And then I sort of started getting back in the mix.
Like almost trying to master that the same way you would master the skateboarding.
Yeah, a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
And then I would say as well, like Australia is like a smaller scene. Yeah. And then it's kind of like a little bit cliquey too. So then if I'm a young kid and I come into skating and they say like, oh, this is this young kid. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I do some stupid stuff. Then they've forever got the image of you as like that stupid kid. And it's like so hard to like get rid of that, you know?
Like what did you do, Ricky Glaser?
I don't know. I just would just do silly stuff. Like you see how I am now. It's like I just posted a video of me holding a Doritos bottle with my feet. You know? Like, I would just do stuff like that where I just don't really care, you know? And then people, you know, they kind of get an image of you. Maybe they put you in a certain box and then it's kind of hard to ever recover from that.
Yeah.
Because I was always like, it's kind of like a try hard. I was never trendy. I was never cool. Like I would just do whatever, you know, like, because the whole thing was me liking skating. So I personally did not care what any clothes anyone wear, what shoes they wore, what board they skate, anything. To me, I'm just watching the tricks. Like, I don't really care about anything else.
Yeah,
and I thought,
so funny.
I thought other people thought like that. Absolutely not.
So, okay, I just have to know, like, I totally understand your viewpoint, and it's very set and very specific. And was there a certain point where you realized or you saw, and then you were like, whoa, this is like, it almost, and even more so now than ever, it's like skateboarding, fashion.
Yeah.
And there's literal professional skateboarders that are going to literal fashion events.
Yeah.
Really, really high class fashion events. They're doing ads for fashion companies, diamond companies, which would have never happened a while back.
Yeah. It's funny, like now as like an influencer or whatever, the amount of different random sponsors that we get and some of the stuff that we can get for free, you know?
Yes.
I remember back in the day, this one dude had like a backpack sponsor and I it's funny because I never even thought about money or anything, but I just remember thinking like, this dude is getting free backpacks. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
I need to get on Backpack Flow. All the trapper keepers I could have in there.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It's so funny. But yeah, it is interesting. And like fashion and that kind of stuff, I do not care about it at all, you know? Like, it has nothing to do with skating in my view of skating.
Right. So now, was there a certain point where you're like, whoa, that's very interesting.
Well, like what changed everything was, like what I said, I wasn't super in with the clicks or whatever. I was kind of just like on the outskirts, like doing my own sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then it was thanks to Instagram. Instagram makes video. And then I was kind of like, oh, like, this is sort of interesting. Like you can have the power to publish something and people can see it. And like, people don't need to go and buy the magazine to see it. Or people don't need to, you know, buy the DVD or like watch the video. You can just put it out. And then like that really like inspired me. And then I was kind of started to be like, oh, I'll just do a hard trick and I'll post on Instagram. And then I started doing that. Then I wonder what the very first like kind of virally one was.
Yeah.
But I remember I did a few tricks and I would see people like, they would not even say something and they would like tag their friends. And I was like, whoa, like they like want to show someone my clip and then not even like saying like, whoa, that was cool, Ricky. Like not my friends. It's kind of like reaching out of the circle of my friends.
Yeah.
And then I did basically everything changed when I did the crooked grind late impossible. So like, because that was such a hard trick.
Legendary.
And I'm just like unknown. And then it like looked cool. Post on Instagram, boom, all the skate things posted. And when I posted, I think I had like 3,000 followers.
Yes.
Everyone posted like Thrasher, Transworld, Skate Crunch repost, like Metro Skate, like literally every single one posted it. And this was in a kind of different time of Instagram. They all posted. And then Shane O'Neill too, Australian guy, he hard posted that on his feed, and I was like, what the heck?
Shane O'Neill,
what is this guy
Australian
doing?
guy.
And he had like 1 million followers.
Yes.
And then like all these things posted me, and I remember my followers, it went from like 3,000 to like 7,000. And then I was like, whoa, like people like connect with my trick. I was like, maybe like I have something to contribute. Like maybe I'm on something here.
Yeah.
And then after that, then I was a lot more conscious of like, this would be a good video to film for Instagram. And then I kind of started on that train. Then I grew my Instagram like pretty quick. And then pretty much everything led on from there. So like what I was saying with folklore, I got on the team, nothing really happened.
Yes.
It didn't matter how much I got in the magazine, nothing would change. Didn't matter how many video parts I put out.
And let me ask you, were you asking them for it to change? Were you going?
Well, like I didn't even like what could change really, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't
Did you have an idea?
I didn't.
Because what could change is pro model, pro board, money.
Yeah, but like I never foresee that I could really have a career in skating.
Never.
I guess I was just
never crossed your mind.
Not really. Well, I mean, when I'm a little kid, and then just like as I was getting older,
but now you're getting old. Now you're like high school years, probably 15.
I remember
18.
thinking when I was kind of like finishing high school, I was like, I don't want to be a pro skater. Like, I will get a real job because like I don't think it will work out.
Because you just didn't think it would work out, or you didn't want to.
I just didn't think it would work out.
Yeah, fascinating.
I guess I was just like held myself back. It never crossed my mind that like you should go to America, you should try to do it, you should show them that you can do it. Yeah. That wasn't my thought process. My thought process.
And now Ricky's like, I wish I never went to America.
No.
Keep going.
No, for sure not. But I kind of like made the decision as I was getting older. I was like, oh, I would just get a real job. I love skating and I'll keep skating, but being a pro is not going to happen or whatever.
Yes.
That was my kind of thought. But then the Instagram thing, I was like, whoa, like maybe I do have something to give to skating. Maybe I am unique. Maybe I can do, because that was kind of like an MBD type trick.
Yes.
I was like, whoa, maybe I have something to contribute to this, you know?
Yes.
And then, yeah, like I said, folklore, nothing happened for a long time. Then build a following on Instagram, then they're like, oh yeah, we should make you pro. Now you have created enough demand that people like you that now you can be pro. And I was like, whoa, like that's crazy, you know?
Yes, through folklore. So now folklore has decided to give you a contract, give you a pro board based on your Instagram reach.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's sick.
Yeah.
Super sick.
And like something that I never thought would be possible.
What was that like for you?
Like wild.
Yeah, like what?
I don't know. I just never thought I would have a pro board, like ever. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just insecure or something. Like, I don't know. It's hard. Like, what is it like when you first turned pro? Like, how did that make you feel? You know, like I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, very weird. Well, my experience was just so much different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was like in the like, I'm moving to California. I'm going pro. I'm skating for some of the best companies in the world. Volcom, Real, Thunder, Spitfire. Like, oh, actually it wasn't Spitfire, it was Bones. But, and I'm like really, really going for it. And then I am going into the team manager every single month. Shout out Mickey Reyes. And I would bring him footage every month. And I would ask, here's my footage. I think it's really good. Can we like do a trip? Can we literally do anything? This is me trying to go from flow to am.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for pro. I'm just literally asking for like anything.
Yeah.
Like just take me on a trip. Let me hang out with the team. Let me do anything.
Yeah.
And I get all kinds of interesting answers. And then I just get kicked off.
Yeah.
And then just completely out of the blue. And, you know, whatever. Looking back now, I go like, yeah, if I was a team manager, real, I would have kicked myself off too. But at that time, I mean, I think my footage was really good.
Yeah.
And the first video that I posted on YouTube was this video. You know, I've told my story 5 billion times. We don't need to get into that whole thing. But then it was basically me like giving up on pro skateboarding. And then me finding my passion of like, I'm going to teach people.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually better at that. You know, like you're like, my contribution to skateboarding is like the NBDs. My contribution is like, I can just over thoroughly explain every detail of the trick in such minute detail that helps beginners learn.
Yeah.
And then I just went on that whole thing. And then it was similar. Now I have so much demand that Revive is like, we'll give you a pro model, you know, and I would love to hash it out with like industry people of like, some people say like Revive is like, you're just starting your own company and giving yourself a pro model. I did not start Revive Skateboards. We can just very separate that out. But I also understand where they're coming from in that.
Yeah.
I did not go pro for Real Skateboards, which is attached to Thrasher magazine. I never had an ad in Thrasher magazine. There's many like boxes that I never checked.
Yeah.
So I also know that. And I also go like, you know, I think John Hill or somebody made a video like, is Aaron Cairo a fake pro skater? Or does Aaron Cairo deserve to be
Sounds
a pro?
like something John Hill would make.
Shout out John Hill. Does Aaron Cairo deserve to be pro? And these are the kind of things that don't even necessarily, I think it's kind of funny because I'll like throw like skateboarding into like the blank canvas, just paint whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I've painted some really interesting pictures. And where my career went was just such a different place than I ever thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying of like, you get good enough at skateboarding. Now you're at the level where you need to then learn to market yourself. I was completely and utterly horrendous at that. And then I learned how to do that. But I feel like this is like my own opinion of myself. By the time I learned to market, I was already not at the level of skating where I needed to be. And then I was like, I mean, I can still do some cool tricks and contribute some manual stuff. But then I was like, okay, well, what can I contribute? And then I found my lane, which is like teaching beginners, which like changed my life forever. But super interesting. So mine was like totally different. But you went, you know, just forging through on the straight path.
But with what I would say, it's interesting, like what I said, is to do a kickflip, you have to believe you can do a kickflip.
Yes.
And I think there's there's one key difference between our stories.
Yes.
That you can see, oh, someone like Dennis Buzis can become a pro.
Yes.
Like you see like, oh, it is possible.
Yes.
Whereas in mine, in Australia, it's impossible. Who am I like emulating? Dustin Dolan? Like, I don't know. Like it's really like out of my viewpoint. And
which I find interesting though, because you did see those videos and you must have had some idea these guys are pro. They do this for a living.
But I would be like, oh, they're way better than me, kind of thing.
I see.
Because there was three kind of Australians that were like breaking out into the scene, like in my area. It was like Shane O'Neill, Chima Ferguson, and Dane Berman. And like they were the ones that I would watch them and be like, oh, these local guys are so sick. One day they're gonna do it. They're gonna be doing it. And then it was really cool to watch them do that.
Yeah.
But then like I would always view them like, whoa, they're like on this level and I'm like down here. Like I'm not on the same, they're not my peers, you know, like they're something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, I was on folklore. No one else was pro. No one else was making a living. There wasn't like, even other Australian companies, no one was really making a living. So it's like, I didn't have these like role models and I never thought of moving to America. Like that wasn't on my radar at all, you know?
Yes.
So it's like, I didn't really see there was like a possibility. But if there was other people, say like on folklore or a similar company that were making a living, that were pro, I would be like, oh, I can be like them. What tricks are they gonna do? Like I'll do similar tricks. Like it would have inspired me more.
Yeah, to try and do it and try and make it go of it. Yeah, it's so interesting too because I did know about professional skateboarding, and it's funny because you have the viewpoints of like, what is it like? And I literally didn't even care what it was like.
Yeah.
I didn't care about, did they make money? Are they rich? Do they drive cars? Yeah. I didn't care about anything. All I wanted to do was skate.
It's funny. I'm the same. Like it never crossed my mind at any point, like how much is this skater making? Never, ever crossed my mind. It just said, oh, a pro skater. I love this skater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And now we're very much involved into the scene. And sometimes it's the most heartbreaking, heart-wrenching situation that there could ever be.
Yeah.
And then, man, it's that wild thing about the ups and downs of the industry.
Yeah.
And I have this big thing because the other part of the podcast is how do I learn about how people got into skateboarding so we can use that data to get more people in.
Yeah.
Because I have this basic viewpoint that if we got enough people in, that there wouldn't be these crazy ups and downs and it would be this good thing. Not because it has to be like, oh my God, every skateboarder needs to be like rich.
Yeah.
But every skateboarder should be able to pay their rent and put food on the table.
It's interesting now.
Athletes.
We're getting into an interesting time where some people that are famous now have a past where, oh, I used to skate and I used to be able to tray flip.
Yes.
And then now, like, because before skating was so new that didn't really exist.
Yes.
But now, like, for example, this guy, XQC, he's like the biggest streamer type guy.
Yes.
He recently signed like a deal for like $100 million with a website.
As a video game streamer.
$100 million. Just remember that number. But this guy, I don't know how old he's like 25 or something.
Yeah.
But he skate, like he can tray. Like he went to Venice and he can tray. Like he legit can skate.
You met
and
him.
It's like, no. But like I've seen his videos of him skating.
Yes.
And it's like, this guy has such strong reach that if he even just mentions skating the tiniest bit, it becomes on other people's radars. And maybe they say like, oh, that kind of is cool. Maybe I'll learn more about that, you know?
Yes.
So like even Addison Rae or whatever, Charlie D'Amelio wrote a ripstick in a video. You know what I mean? It's like these people have such big reach that people will get exposed to skating in kind of like new, interesting ways.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing. So then we'll take the core skateboard industry that would be like, Addison Rae has no place in skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. I also don't want to stereotype and categorize the core skateboard industry. And it's not a degrade in any way. As I said, I am a skate rat through and through. I absolutely love every single part of it. But it does become of an interesting thing where, like, if I think that Addison Rae could get more new people into skateboarding, I'm 1000% doing a video with Addison Rae.
Of course. Like, why wouldn't you?
Like, why wouldn't you, right? But there are people that ride skateboards that would be like, that's why Aaron is a kook or whatever they would say. It's an interesting facet.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's because there's a different goal.
But even just like Rihanna wears Thrasher or whatever. Rihanna wearing Thrasher probably got people into skating. Like, it must have, you know, they say, oh, Thrasher's cool. What's Thrasher? Oh, it's skating. What's skating? And then they start. Like, it must have had a net more people into skating.
Yes.
But it's the worst thing that you could ever do.
Why?
No, that's what that's people are mad about it.
Yeah. But you know, Jake Phelps did talk about that. Did you see what he said?
No.
About Rihanna?
He said it was good?
He basically said it was good. Yeah. Yeah. Which I completely love.
I honestly do feel like people are changing their view. Like
it's a slow change.
Like the herd of people is slowly pushing more to like, more people in skating is good.
Yes.
Because like, I remember when the Olympic thing was first being talked about, people were like, oh, we don't need the Olympics, blah, 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 blah.
They'll ruin skateboarding.
But I feel like mostly people say, that's cool. Now skaters can make more money because they can be represented in the Olympics. Or now Olympics will show skating to way more people. Like, how is that bad in any way, really? Like what I said, I think, comp is completely separate, but it's still sick. Like,
like you hate the idea of a competition.
Like a skater won a gold medal. Like, that's so
good.
Sick.
Yeah, so sick. And then I had the pleasure of interviewing Trevor Ward, who started a school in Australia where they do school, like literal school for half the day and skate for the other half. And then I learned that he basically started it on the back of the Olympics. And then I go to his website and it's like, train your kid, train, take that word again, train your kid to be an athlete. And I'm totally butchering what it says, but then it even says in there, like, skateboarding will be one of the sports in the like 2032 Brisbane Olympic Games.
Sick.
And it just hit that, it just pushed that, like,
the
parents, like, your kid could be in the Olympics riding a skateboard.
Yeah.
And how many kids will start skateboarding because of that? I have no idea. I feel like in California, it didn't really do much for us. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I feel like
if you look at the Google Trends,
yeah,
it's like skateboarding is, steady.
Yes.
And then it goes and then back down.
Yes. And then it went back down to lower than it was before, which is why I'm like, we got to do something. I almost feel like we're at this like battle cry, like come together as a skateboard industry. Like we got to change something.
Yeah.
Something has to change. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to learn what it is, trying to figure it out so we can, like, I don't know. I think the basic thing is get more people in. And how do we do that exactly? I don't know. But so far I've been learning a lot on the podcast. And one thing that I learned the other day that I thought was super fascinating is the biggest spike that skateboarding ever had was after Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yeah.
And somebody pointed this out to me. They were like, well, you got to understand that, like, skateboarding is hard to understand. What is an ollie? What is a heel flip? What is fakie? What is nollie? And you have millions of non-skateboarders that now are learning the names of the tricks and they're essentially speaking our language.
Yeah.
Isn't that a fascinating thing?
And they're like being welcomed into our world. Like, oh, you do a grind. Like, this is what you do. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Crooked grind. So sick.
Yeah.
Jeff Rowley. So sick.
Yeah.
When you beat the game, you get to see his real footage. It's like, the reward at the end. But then I go, well, how do we recreate that? Maybe it's literally something that can never be recreated because it's just, I don't know. I don't know what the next new thing is. VR skateboarding?
But I think it's interesting, like, you know, like I said, Instagram was a big factor for me.
Yeah.
I feel like skateboarding is so in line with like social media.
Yes.
You know, that it works so well that just viral crazy skate thing and it gets shared around. Whereas like other industries doesn't work so well with
like
social
what?
media. I don't know. It's hard to get an example.
Like movies or something? Nah.
Some other random community wouldn't vibe, like coding or whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't vibe with Instagram.
Yeah.
With skating, visual representation of culmination of energy into a 3-second thing. Perfect, you know? Like it works great. Whereas like other stuff is harder to work so good.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
So whether or not I agree with this viewpoint, beside the point, but I'm going to throw like a counter viewpoint at you. I want to see what you think about it. Is the viewpoint that social media has ruined skateboarding?
Definitely not.
But I'll throw this idea out there. Because back in the day, it was like, okay, yeah, right. They're filming for it for like 3 to 5 years. Big production, very, very well made. Everybody's working on their tricks and kids are waiting. And you see those ads, video coming soon. Sometimes they would literally say video coming soon for 5 years. It's like a joke. And then the video comes out and you're like, what in the world? Sickest thing ever. Now you wake up in the morning and there's like 50 NBDs on your phone before you even finish breakfast.
Yeah. But see, the argument I would say against that, back in that Baker era, how many...
Baker? I never mentioned Baker.
Didn't you say that? Baker 3?
No.
Oh, you said 5 years. When I think of filming a video for 5 years, I always think of Baker 3.
Really? Oh, yeah. I was talking about, right. But I love there's different eras in skateboarding. Baker 3 is a different
Well,
era.
I guess Baker 3 was just after Yeah Right.
Yeah. I don't even know.
I think it was 2007.
I don't know. Because Baker 3 wasn't one that hit me like a punch in the face.
Yeah.
The video that hit me the most was PJ Loud's Wonderful Horrible Life. We don't have to get into that. But okay.
Okay, but what I'll say is, in this Go You're Right Baker 3 time period, how many people are making a living from skating?
Yes.
50?
I have no idea. That's the thing is it's like literally now, unknown to me.
In social media era, there's way more people making a living, at least in part, from skating.
Good point.
Whereas back then, it was this select few that these are the goats, and then maybe in some other random country, there's someone equally as good as them that no one will ever know.
Yes.
Whereas social media kind of like equalized that the best will always rise to the top and gave more room for more people, I think.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
I like it.
And like it gave room for even like TikTok made more lanes for people that can make a living at least loosely based around skating.
Yes.
Even just like skate coaching school or skate lessons type thing.
Yes.
That is using social media to promote, whereas before it probably wouldn't be able to sustain itself without
Wouldn't be able to survive.
Yeah.
They can't afford an ad in Thrasher.
Yeah, or on TV
or wherever they need to.
Billboard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you think social media...
I think social media has netted more people being able to live from skating.
Ooh.
But see, someone else would argue, why do you need to live from skating? You need to just skate for fun and like you shouldn't try to make money from skating. But
and the people that are saying that, are they making money from skateboarding?
Definitely not. But like,
you never know.
I think you need to have some people at the top making it for the industry to thrive, you know, like otherwise if every single person's not making money and every single person is just doing it out of love, like I don't think it will be able to survive.
Well, I think of just this idea of like, there is a real, like, man, there's a point in my life where I realized that you need money. You know, I was like, it was a very, very dark point in my life.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks. It actually sucks. But I remember I was working at KB Toys for $8 an hour trying to pay my rent in Daly City and then moved to San Francisco to be a professional skateboarder. Nothing was working out. Hardest time in my life ever. And I was like, dang, I just literally need to make money.
Yeah.
You have to make it somehow. And so I get into this viewpoint of like, in order for this thing that we love so much, which is entirely not money related at all, it's an art form. In order for you to do that as part of your life, you have to be able to eat.
Well, it's like if we go back to the artist analogy, there's two artists. One works at McDonald's 50 hours a week and paints in their free time. The other one paints every single day and sells some of the paintings for money.
Yes.
It's like, is that one negative? Is that like a sellout? Or is it cool that they've figured out a way that they can put more energy into it? Like,
yeah.
I think it's kind of like that.
What do you think? Which one do you think?
Oh, I think that's great. They can sell it. They figured out a way to make it work. You know?
Yeah, I think it is great as well. And I think when you can make a living based on your passion, when I just did this Instagram post, it's talking about like, never work a day in your life because you're doing what you love. You know, sometimes I tell my wife, I'm going to work. And she's like, you're going to ride a skateboard. And I'm like, yeah, that's work. And it is, I am so thankful, blessed. It just all the words that you could give, like that I am still doing this at the age of 39 years old.
Yeah.
That I'm sitting in this room having this conversation is like unbelievable.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? I want to take a second to tell you about Audible, the #1 platform for audiobooks, podcasts, and more. With Audible, you have access to over 400,000 titles, including one of my favorites, Shoe Dog, the story of the Nike owner, Phil Knight. As a small business owner and skater, it was so interesting to see what he went through in building the Nike empire and how it all started. This is an inspiring and motivating story, and I would recommend it to anyone. The way Audible works is amazing. With Audible Plus, you get instant access to thousands of audiobooks, sleep guides, and podcasts for just $7.95. Yours to enjoy as a subscriber, or you can upgrade to Audible Premium Plus and get everything included in Audible Plus, plus one additional audiobook every month, yours to stream, download, and keep forever. Even if you cancel your subscription, which is easy to do, but trust me, you won't want to. There are many amazing books on Audible, and as a listening viewer of the Braille Drop, you can download a free audiobook today that's yours forever, whether you subscribe or not. Just go to thebrailledrop.com/audible to sign up for a free 30-day trial and receive one free audiobook that's yours to keep. Doing so really helps support the show. That's thebrailledrop.com/audible to get a completely free audiobook on Audible. Thanks, and now back to the show. But now I'm going to ask you another question, which is a deep, tough one. Does making money from it ruin the fun?
And I think this is where it becomes interesting. And like, it has to a bit.
Yes.
Because like you said, it is work. And then like once, what I struggle with mentally is it creates this interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Because when I want to skate for fun, right?
Yes.
But then filming myself doing hard tricks nets me profit because that's my business and that's leading into my business. That's my work, right? But then I love skating and it's my passion. Then say I want to go skating and do hard tricks and not film them.
Yes.
My brain will say, oh, you're wasting these tricks because this is a waste because you should be filming it.
Yes.
But then it's my passion. So how could doing my passion ever be a waste? So it like creates this like interesting, like, whoa, like what is the dynamic here, you know?
Yeah.
And then it does complicate the relationship. But I think a complicated relationship is not necessarily a negative. A complicated relationship, it can be positive.
Yeah. And it's just complicated.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we get into the factor of burnout. And like, do you hit a point where you're like, oh, I just don't even want to do this anymore. It's so hard. Or it's just so much. There's just so much.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, like, I think any job, like some days you're going to be like, I super don't feel like doing this. You know what I mean?
Some days you don't want to wake up, but you hit that alarm,
stand up.
you stand right up, and that is it. You stand up and you go.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. I also think it's interesting. One of the things that you said is like doing hard tricks, you know? And I almost even go like, man, some days on my Instagram or my social media, or even in the videos that we make on YouTube, I go like, I sort of had this shift of viewpoint where I went, it's not about the hard tricks even.
Yeah.
It's about creating the community of like people that you've helped to learn or whatever that is. I like to create something that gives some sort of value. And I struggle with like the videos that are like the viral videos or the quote unquote like entertaining videos.
Yeah.
I don't think of myself as an entertainer. I think of myself more as like an educator, you know? And then I go, man, I've made the last 1,000 videos I've made didn't really teach much, and that hurts. on Braille, we make a lot of content.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets a little bit feeling like this is just the same video we've made 9,000 times and it's stale.
But see, like, I view like filming YouTube videos and stuff, I feel like that is more like work, and like when you have to really be present and like think about your personality and stuff, that's more work than just freely skating and trying a trick like more freely, you know?
Yeah.
So like that can kind of burn you out for sure. Like making YouTube videos, like YouTube burnout is like the most common thing ever.
Talk about it though. And like, what is it like? I mean, we skipped a lot of periods in your life, which I kind of want to go back and hit, but I just think this is such an interesting topic that I think like, is also important.
Well, are we really trying to go over my whole life story, or we talk more about like the industry and like?
Yeah. I mean, I like to go over the person's life. It's just whatever, in whatever like form or fashion of details. But I think there's some interesting points, which I think people hit in their life, which are interesting time periods.
Yeah.
That it's cool to like get a person's experience from.
For sure.
So like, what was it like when you first turned pro?
Yeah.
And then what was it like?
I mean, I'm interested to hear yours too, but I'll say you turn pro, it's like this cool celebration or whatever. Then it's kind of settles down, but like first time skating your own pro model out in public, super weird feeling, super insecure, like, oh, you just feel like, oh man, like I'm embarrassed almost, like I'm not worthy, like this is too much, like I don't know, it feels weird. And then someone looks at you like, is that your boy? And you're like, oh yeah. I don't know, but it's overall cool, like, you know, there's all these cool moments that come along the journey, and like what you said, you and I have different paths, and everyone has a super different path.
Yes.
Just because we look to the people that were becoming pro back in our time, we were looking at their path, but now the path is completely different again. And it's like, I think you are one of the pioneers of like the change time, and like you were one of the first people that were the first of the new time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Whatever that means, good, bad. Sometimes Ricky says TikTok will change the world for better or for worse.
Yeah, I think so. And like what you originally said is that those people say it was better back in the day.
Yes.
And I think that's a bad way to view the world, because
tell me about it.
No matter what happens, you must exist in the world now, where TikTok exists, where social media exists, no matter what. No matter how much you wish you could go back, you cannot exist there. You can only exist here. So why would you be bummed about that? You just have to like roll with the punches, you know?
Right. It just gets into this place, I guess, where they're a little bit stuck in it. And they're like, man, I wish it could go back to the way it was.
Well, I think kind of the world is in like growing pains of social media. I think it's really like
the whole world. Every industry is
technology.
In this.
I think like we're about to figure out what's going to happen, you know?
What do you mean with AI and the takeover of our minds?
Yeah, and like VR. I think people are going to get addicted to VR, and that's going to be like the next big addiction.
Yes.
Because like even drugs and whatever, that's kind of a new-ish thing.
Yes.
Right? Like it came in the 60s or whatever, sort of. It's like sort of a newish thing. I think VR is going to be the next new like addiction. But yeah, it's a wild ride. I'll tell you what's funny is like today, Tony Hawk reposted my video.
Yes.
And just before I was looking at the comments, and Tony Alva, another legend, is in the comments saying like, Tony Hawk's goofy, not regular, and like battling these other people. And I just sent a nice thing to him then, and I said like, oh, we just made it for fun to pay respect for Tony. Love everything you did, Tony Alva, to the community. And he said like a flower or whatever. But isn't that crazy? Tony Hawk's
so crazy.
And I'm communicating with Tony Alva, original pioneer of everything, you know?
Yes.
So wild.
It is so wild. Yeah. The other day, I'm a PJ Ladd freak. He's, in my opinion,
I think, you know, this is what's sad.
Yeah.
I think the viewers might not even know who PJ Ladd is.
PJ Ladd is the world's best skateboarder. There is this video. If you've never watched it, you need to watch it right now. It's called PJ Ladd's Wonderful Horrible Life. You can't really appreciate it, actually. And let me explain that very briefly. At the time period where this video came out, and the tricks that PJ Ladd was doing were so crazy, and the way that he did them so good and effortlessly. For example, his intro line was kickflip front tail 270 out in the middle, and then he does a front lip on this rail that's like not your traditional front lip. And kickflip front tail 270 out, nobody had done ever. And in a line to start your trick, was like he just punched you in the face. And he just literally said, I'm the best. Get out of my way. You know, whatever. Yeah. I even hate that viewpoint of anybody thinking they're the best, but he was just so nonchalant, and just the way that he did his tricks were so sick. It like changed skateboarding for me.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I went, whoa, it's so technical. Because before that, it was like Jamie, and I love all these skateboarders, no hate, but like it would be like Jamie Thomas does a Smith down a 15. The next video, Jamie Thomas Smiths a 17. And I'm never going to Smith the 17. I'm just not going to. So then I see this video with PJ Ladd, and I'm like, I remember as a kid, like working so hard, and I did half cab flip, nose slide 270 out. And I was like, I flipped in, I 270'd out. And I thought it was like so sick. And to me, it was so sick, and it's still so sick. But like that was 100% PJ Ladd inspired. But that video, when it came out, it hit the entire skateboard industry like a shockwave. And I would love for that to happen now. And I don't know what it would require, or if it's even possible for it to happen now. But I think there are some Japanese kids who are kind of doing that. Japan's like taking over.
But see, I would say now it isn't possible. And the reason being is that skateboarding is bigger. Yes. And back then it was smaller, less people in the spotlight. That something like that changes everything. Whereas now it's too big, too broad. Like now it's just a different beast.
But what's interesting about that is that was like right around 2002, 2001, where skateboarding had the biggest. You see, this is why the podcast exists. Like I literally want to interview the guy that runs NHS because he has all this data on like the industry and the financials. But like where skateboarding itself was making the most money is that era.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it was the biggest, but doesn't it though? But wouldn't that mean it was bigger? More people interested in skateboarding, maybe from more non-skaters buying skateboard gear, maybe was the point.
Yeah.
Because of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yeah.
Which occurred again
now I would say there's
with Rihanna. Shout out Rihanna.
Now I would say there's more like casual skaters because back then it's like the super core, I am a skateboarder or not. And then the mainstream, I'll buy a skateboard. They're like the two parties. Whereas now I would say like there's core, then there's super casual, like, oh yeah, I have a board, but I don't really ride. I can't kickflip, whatever. And then there's like the non-skaters. So now it's like a broader spectrum, I think.
Yeah, I just realized that like the top of the pyramid was much smaller.
Yeah.
And especially in that era where like Chad Muska was God. Remember seeing these videos where he like did a tour in Europe and he's just surrounded by 5,000 kids. He can't even get out.
I saw a video recently where he said like, yeah, I like the Escalade I used to have, but kids, you shouldn't buy an Escalade. I thought that was so funny.
Cadillac Muska. Yeah. Okay, so tell me about the front Smith, the 17.
Oh yeah, what I was gonna say is like it's interesting how you said like you couldn't connect with someone skating big rail because that's not what skating means to you.
Yeah,
and I think that is very true because you can really find what you like about skating and like follow that. And what I found is that vert skating, right? If I watch JD skate, it's too far out of my zone that I don't even connect with it. Yes. But then we were watching those young kids beginner vert skater skate and it got me way more hyped because it's like, damn, they can do the air like I could kind of do it like that. Like I should try that. And it's like what you said is like that the person you look up to is the one that's similar to you, like just on that higher level, you know? Yes. Whereas smithing the 17, it's kind of like not really what you like about skating. So it's like less relevant. And I tell you who gets that a lot, Bob Burnquist is like, my friends are street skaters. They think about Mega Ramp. They're like, that's like F1 car. Like that's not even skating at all.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it is. Shout out Bob Burnquist.
Bob, he did a fakie 9 or like he jumped out of a helicopter. Like he's doing crazy stuff. It's like, you got to remember that he's on a skateboard like you. You think you're gnarly oiling a 10 stair. He's tray flipping into the giant ramp.
He's tray flipping into a literal building 30 feet high.
Yeah. I think people forget that. But you know, if they're not into it, they're not into it. There's nothing you can do about that, you know?
Yeah, but it is kind of an interesting place on the broad spectrum of skateboarding and where that puts people. You do need some people who are close to the skill level of beginners pushing it to get them involved.
Exactly.
To say like, hey, there's something here that you can go forward.
Yeah.
And then on the point that we were talking about earlier, if they want to make skateboarding their life, there has to be enough people to make it a career. I think about soccer and basketball and all these other sports so much, and I think how many people have a full-blown career in basketball? You have all the players is one thing, but then you have podcast people who do very well. You have announcers. You have people that work the grandstand. You have tons of people that work in and around that industry. And you think about people working in and around skateboarding in it, man, it's a bloodthirsty, it's very intense.
Yeah.
You know? And some of the professional skateboarders making money, there are professional skateboarders. I think this is a big misconception. Oh, you're a pro, you're like a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
That's let's just burst that bubble right this very second.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you know, I remember being a kid, but when you're a kid, you don't, like we were talking, you don't even think about it. Did I think about like, wow, I wonder what Chad Muska gets paid in a month? Never crossed my mind. Could I care less? I was just like, dang, I wish I could crooked grind with a boombox like he does. You know, but it's interesting. But there has to be some place for them to go where they can sustain a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people quit. They realize, and then it goes into that thing like, it's a children's toy. And it is a children's toy.
Yeah. That's what I think is funny. Like what I said, fashion. People think they're so cool. Oh, I've got the coolest thing. I'm a cool skater. It's like, bro, it is a toy. Like, let's not forget about that. Like, it's so lame. I love it. I love everything about it, but it is lame. Like, let's just wash that over like straight away.
Yeah. It is a toy. It is a literal piece of wood with some pieces of metal with some wheels, and you're meant to do some funny looking tricks with weird names.
What I always think is like try to explain to your grandma, like, oh, that didn't count because my toe scraped on the ground. I got to do it again.
Yeah. Or try to explain to a grandma that you can't do a Benihana because it's not cool.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so funny when I interviewed Carl Watson. He was talking about like the early days of EMB when the rules were very, very strict. Like this is Skate Plaza in San Francisco, which was the mecca of the entire skateboard world for street skateboarding. And his friend who was part of the crew would not take him there until he could. The two tricks, which I found interesting, were power slide and ollie. He was like, power slide was a big deal.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, oh, I get that. And then I was like, so then he was like, there are very certain tricks that you would never do. And I was like, what were you not allowed to do? No, pressure flip was in.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah, but you know what he said? He was like, well, we didn't really like the Benihanas. And I was like, Benihana? Everybody's discriminating against the Benihana. Shout out Jake Duncombe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I find that interesting that you get these like hardcore clicks, and they're very. And then the more he started talking about it, I was almost like, this is like kind of like gatekeepy, but then also like I started to see like there's a place where this is important to the culture of that group.
Yeah.
Which was something I never really thought about before. You know what I mean?
For sure. But I think I think gatekeeping in general is going down.
Yeah.
Because I think
more acceptance.
I think back then there's no path. There's less options. So that it kind of empowers them to say, you want to make it, you gotta be with me. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Whereas now it's not really a huge deal.
It was literally almost like gangs.
Yeah.
And there was no social media. So the only people that you knew were the people that you knew.
Yeah.
Your crew of 5 people, you know? Now you get on social media, you know people. At least you think you know them.
Yeah, well, you can find other people like you or whatever.
Yeah.
With other people.
You can find people that are doing tricks similar to you or have opinions similar to you. But I think that's another point that's kind of interesting. Like sometimes people say things on my posts and I'm like, bro, I've literally never met you in my entire life. And there's a big chance that I literally will never meet you. So like sometimes I just have to remind myself, this person has no idea who I am. And they never will, you know? So brings me to another interesting topic. We're getting way far away from your life story, Ricky.
That's okay.
How do you deal with hate?
I personally, it doesn't really register to me so much. Because like I've been saying this whole time, is like social is like not my like focus ever really. So like
groups and friends.
Yeah, like to me, I'm more of like an introverted person, and it's like what's going on in my mind. What I'm doing is more what I'm focused on, rather than like getting into the group or like being social and whatever. So to me, I try to take the good and the bad both like neutral, kind of like stoic, you know?
Yeah.
Like what I was saying before, when a kid says, "Whoa, you got me into skateboarding," I try to just say like, "Okay, that's like a lot, but like that's cool, positive, nice."
But out of all the things, why is that a lot?
I don't know, because it's like, man, it's like if you like your actions have resulted in someone else's change.
Yes.
And that's like hard to comprehend almost.
Yes.
Even like what I said, Tony Hawk posted the video today. I checked the thing, it's like 500,000 views. Can you imagine what 500,000 people like watching something that you do? Like that's insane.
It's insane.
Even like Braille has like 5.8 million or something like that, right?
Yes.
Roughly 6 million.
Yes.
Imagine the thought of like 6 million individual humans click the mouse and say, "You know what? I will click subscribe." Like, isn't that crazy?
It's literally unbelievable.
Like it's unfathomable.
Yeah,
you can't even comprehend it.
Yeah.
And I think humans are not meant to comprehend stuff like that. So that's why I kind of just try to take it light. If someone says some hate, I love constructive criticism. I love seeing what people are saying, what people think.
Yeah.
But if they just say some pointless random hate, then like what? Like who cares?
Yeah.
Same as if
do you block them? How do you handle it?
I try to never block anyone.
Yeah.
I try like I've seen some people, they say, "Your social media is like your house, and you wouldn't let someone come in and take a shit in your house." But see, I wouldn't think of it like that. I think my house is private. No one's coming in my house.
Yeah.
My social media is my public art gallery or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's for the people. They want to shit on the floor. Like that's up to them. You know what I mean? I
love
I
the
kind
analogy.
I kind of have a distance from myself from social media or whatever.
Yes.
And it's like, I don't think what the ones that can hurt a little bit is when there's some truth to it, you know? Someone says something that's like a bit true and you're like, ooh, like, I guess they're all right.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that could be borderline constructive criticism, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But just pure hate, I don't know, doesn't even really register.
Yeah. I almost think it's like funny.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and then you think like, okay, this person, sometimes people do like whole video segments, and I'm just like, this person just will literally never even know who I am. And this is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Fascinating though. But people growing up and getting on social media, like sometimes I think about, what if when I went to high school, I had Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat.
I'm worried. I worry for the kids. I worry for JD.
I worry for them.
If I was a kid and I could post something to 100,000 people, oh my God, that's not good.
Would have been bad.
That's like terrible.
Yeah.
Like, because I, as an adult, 30-year-old adult, I can, like what we say, we can barely fathom it. How's a kid meant to understand the like long-term actions and consequences and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And then so many kids, you say, what do you want to do now? And they say, I want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I want to be a social media influencer, which what is a social media influencer? Do you like that term, influencer? What does that even mean?
I just think it's all funny though. Like I said, I try not to take it too seriously.
Yeah.
That it's like,
you like to pop the Warritos with the toes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a prime example of not taking
brand
it too
deal.
serious. Yeah, it's an influencer brand deal.
I don't know. I just, it's cool. If I can make money from skating related to that, great.
Yeah.
I think if I didn't skate, I would never have social media.
Really?
I think, because like I don't really use it. Like you could argue that I use it a little bit, but I justify it in my mind as like, I am researching what's popular. I'm trying to understand how the social media works because it's my business and my job.
Yes.
But I could definitely see a world where I say, I'm never on social media. I don't want to look at that ever.
Yes.
I'm not going to use it. I could for sure see that.
100%. My wife is not on social media. People are going, what's her...
But honestly,
that's
that's hard. Like, yeah, they say, what's wrong with you? Or what terrible thing happened to you to result in you deleting all social media?
No, they say, what's her handle? And I say, she doesn't have a handle. She doesn't have an Instagram. Yeah. But you know what's funny? And then I made an Instagram for my dogs, Braille Skate Dogs. And then guess who's on Braille Skate Dogs? She's on Braille Skate Dogs. And I'm like, who's liking all these posts? Braille Skate Dogs. It's my wife.
It is hard to completely not have it. But I don't know. I think you can try to do that, to use it in like a healthy way, you know?
Yeah. And it is interesting, you know, and then I see I see my wife when she uses it, she watches reels and she finds a reel that's funny and she shares it to her friend.
Yeah.
And that is like, and I see how this is working. I go, that is the concept of a viral video.
Yeah.
But does my wife ever know who the people are that are posting? Never. Does she ever care? No, not ever. And I think that's also where social media is kind of changing. I saw this video last night where it was like, creators are surrounded by a community. Now the creator community is going away and all the community is just surrounded by the algorithm is based on your personal interests and it's pushing to you all of these things, whether you like it or not. And that's taking away from creators surrounded by a community. And it was an interesting idea.
But what you could argue
Yeah.
is that the creators, they just need to keep making things that people like and it will keep getting in there. And
Yes.
then, like the second they stop that, well then yeah, they've lost the ability for people to see their thing.
Yeah,
Which,
very interesting.
yeah. But I always thought like people would look up to celebrities because Instagram was my first like experience with social media, especially like growing social media and things like that. And I would take it really seriously and think a lot about it.
Really?
And my friends, they're not trying to grow their Instagram, whatever, but they would look at a celebrity and a celebrity post a picture of their grandma's birthday, whatever.
Right.
And it's like, if I'm trying to make a skate account, you should never, under any circumstance, ever post a picture of your grandma's birthday. Like, yeah, it's great that your grandma's had a birthday. Send a photo to her, send her some flowers, whatever.
Yes.
But it's like someone that cares about skating does not want to see that no matter what. And I think people never really thought about it that deeply. They just,
Yes.
oh, I see a big account post grandma. Oh, post grandma. They just surface level kind of stuff.
But you know what's so funny for me? I'll tell you this kind of thing. There was a while there where I was almost like testing this in a way of like, let me just see what happens. On Sunday, every Sunday, I try to spend every Sunday with my wife. She likes to go to the farmer's market. We like buy the groceries together. We do the cooking for the week. And for a few Sundays in a row, I was snapping the selfies with her. Me and my wife, just a picture that, you know, sometimes with the wives, it's hard to get the good picture because they're always like, you take terrible pictures, right?
Yeah.
But I would take one and I post it, more likes than anything I would post.
Yeah.
What?
But see, I would say you're in the category of like celebrity kind of thing where like I was more thinking of people trying to grow.
Oh, I got
Whereas
it.
once you get to a certain level, then you can ease off and show more personality because people are already interested in you.
Because they want to kind of see, and I almost think like, man, maybe I should do more of that kind of stuff. But I feel so.
Well, I remember as a
dumb.
kid, not as a kid, but as I was just getting into social media, I was talking to my friend. It was actually Sheezy, the girl that came here and skated.
Shout out, Sheezy.
Yeah, I remember she had, I think, like 15K followers, and I was just starting as just off that thing, so I would have had like 7 or so.
Yeah.
And I remember saying like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to start showing more personality because I only want to show a good trick and nothing else matters. They don't care about my life. I would never talk to the camera. I just show them a good trick and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think I'm going to open up a bit more and show more personality. And she's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I love like rigid rules, Ricky, like very strict, like it must be this.
But that's how I live my life, I guess.
I know. I love it. I think it's fascinating, you know?
I feel like there's less margin for error if you just say, I will never do this, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you say, I will sometimes do this,
yes.
it's like, what's sometimes? When's too much?
Yes.
Whereas if you say never, it's very crystal clear. Okay, never.
Yes. Ricky is very hardcore, like, you have a viewpoint, you have a viewpoint.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me into the subject of drugs. Like, is that wrong?
Clip that.
Yeah, clip that. But you don't do drugs.
Yeah, well,
so tell me about your viewpoint on it.
My viewpoint? I don't drink alcohol either.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it was 2000 and I think it was New Year's Eve 2011. I was like, I don't want to drink alcohol anymore.
Yes.
And then since then, never have.
Yes.
And then it comes with that is other drugs and stuff as well.
So why?
I just think that I have no purpose or reason that I want to alter my mind.
Right.
Like, I feel very fortunate, very happy, very lucky that I have a solid functioning brain.
Yes.
So it's like, I don't want to mess with that, really. And like,
Right.
I never really liked the culture of drinking alcohol either.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of silly that the default option was that drinking alcohol is positive and is good. I thought that was strange. I thought it's like,
Right.
you're literally like poisoning yourself just to like lower your inhibitions to like have fun. Like you can't have fun when you're in your sane mind. Like
Right.
to me, that just seemed really bizarre.
It is bizarre. It is bizarre, and it's almost so bizarre that saying it is bizarre is almost weird. You're almost
because some people listen to me say that and go, "Oh, like that's weird. Like why would Ricky say that?" Some people for sure they say, "I love alcohol. That's stupid. Have a beer with your homies, whatever."
Right.
But I don't know. I just never really meshed with it, and I thought I can go out to the bar, have fun with my friends. I don't need to drink. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah. You're still having fun. Yeah, super fascinating. I'm in a similar vein. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do any drugs, despite all the people that think I am doing drugs that say, your eyes are red. How many times I've had to explain, I don't smoke weed. My eyes are not red because I'm smoking weed.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's allergy. I literally don't know. It's pointless to even try and explain it. But I think it's an interesting thing to talk about. And I think it's an important thing to talk about. Because I think also skateboarding does get very tied in with the drug culture.
Yeah. A lot of my friends in Australia, they would like every time they go skate, like smoke weed.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can you even skate when you smoke weed? Like, I don't know. It just seemed wild. And then I always thought as well, I was like, why would you want to have to smoke weed every day? Like, that just seems like a lot of work. Like, don't you want to just not have to do that?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly right. Very, very interesting. Very interesting topic. Very interesting subject. Okay. Well, what else do we have to talk about, Rick Glaser? We talked about your pro. Oh, one more thing I wanted to ask you about was your experience in moving to America.
Yeah.
I see things that you post and I think, man, Ricky hates America.
Well, America's different to the Bay Area.
Let's talk about it.
Nah, I don't know.
Bay Area represents.
I would say I moved to America not knowing fully about America. And I think the only way to fully know about America is to live here.
100%.
But I
tell like what your perceptions were before and after and how it changed.
So living in Australia, never in my life would I go somewhere and think, I feel unsafe. This is a bad area. This is not a good situation. I would never, ever feel that.
No matter where you were and no matter what city.
Even as a kid, even as a 16-year-old, I would go anywhere, do anything, any time of day. I would never think, don't have a camera here because someone might steal it from me. That's completely out of my mind.
Yep.
I would never think it like that, ever.
Right.
And then you come to America and then...
Not every place in America. Let's just lay it down.
For sure. But for that to be a factor, hey, don't go here because the gangs will rob you at gunpoint. Like that, to have that in my mind is very different.
Yes.
But I love America. And I think, those kind of things come with having more freedom. And like, I identify more with more freedom, whereas Australia does have like a lot of rules, does have like a lot of things you can and can't do type thing. Whereas America, you're pretty much free to do whatever. But yeah, I'm super happy. Like, it's interesting to move like so late. Like, what was I, like 28?
Yeah.
I never thought I would do that. And it's obviously hard to be away from your family and friends.
Yes.
But like I said, I'm more of an introverted type person. Like, even when I was living in Australia, like, I would see my family, like, not like super regularly, like, once a month type thing.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to talk to my parents. They said, like, oh, when you move, it's great that you work with Braille because I just watch the video every day and I like kind of keep up with what you're doing and like see what you're up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably hard on them. But it's been great. Like, everything's been amazing, I think.
Tell me your entire experience.
But it's very tough to just complete. It's like starting again, Because when you're first 18 and you're just kind of like learning about the world, like, oh, I have to do this. Like, I can do this. I could get a job. Like, I could do this. It's kind of like starting everything again. Like, when I first came, it was through COVID too.
Yeah.
Which made it harder than it needed to be.
Yeah.
But even things like, I need to get a social security number. Like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
I need to get health insurance. How do I do that?
Yeah.
I need to pay taxes. How do I do that? Like, all those new adult things. It was fun because I already had it dialed in Australia as like a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
To start again was interesting. But
yeah, and also the skateboarding career. It was interesting when Trevor Ward, when I was interviewing him, he was like, look, in Australia, you're a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
Then you come to America and you're a small fish in a big...
See, in Australia, I was a small fish in a small pond.
Really?
And
no, you were in the magazines. You were...
But not like... I was not like super in the mix.
Okay.
I was just like kind of in there.
Okay.
Like a bit.
Yeah.
And then Instagram I got more America's attention and kind of like skipped over it's not like I rose to the top of Australia, then dipped. It was more like I was kind of on the side, then I just went over.
Okay. Okay. So yes, because I look at your story and I almost think like it's just a sort of natural progression of a continuation of your progression as a skateboarder.
Well, looking back now, I think that too.
Yeah.
But like in the moment, I couldn't have never foresee that would be possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was it like? I remember when you first came here and you were like, Aaron, help me learn how to host the videos. Like, Aaron, help me with these things. And I was like, I'm trying to do my best.
Yeah.
And like, I'm interested to now know, dude, you have like 400,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're doing incredible. You have even more on TikTok.
I think today, actually, or maybe tomorrow, I hit 100 on Snapchat. So now I have 100K plus on Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a really, how does that feel?
Wild.
I mean, I think that's mind-blowing, incredible.
Yeah.
And a huge change from where you were at in Australia.
Well, like what I said is I'm an introverted person. And even like if I meet someone, I'm not telling about my life
of course.
Or whatever. I'm just listening to what they say usually.
Yes.
So it's like, it's such a difference to be like, hey guys, here's my life.
Yes.
Look at my life.
Yeah.
Like that's like super not in my nature.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a challenge to be like, I'm going to try to work on these things that I don't normally come natural to me.
But you do work on them.
Yeah. I mean, like what you said, I asked you for criticism straight away. How can I be a better host?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's just my attitude to anything like bowling or whatever is that I want to understand it and do the best I can. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. And I think that's a correct viewpoint. And I think it's good. I also think it's good to set goals and metrics of like, where are we going with this? And what are we doing? And what's the pathway? And how do we best work it out?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have that?
Well, that's where I've been recently. It's like, dang, like, am I going to like have kids, raise a family? Like, how am I going to make enough money to do that kind of thing? You know, there have been some of my questions, or like, how long can I keep doing hard tricks? And how long will people be interested in my skating kind of thing?
Yeah. I know that is a tough place. That is a tough road to look at. Okay, so how long? What do you think?
Let's see.
What do you mean, let's see? You gotta like, what's the goal? Where are we going? Like, what's the future of Ricky Glaser look like? Where are we headed?
Well, like, I think
what's the goal?
I mean, I guess I'm leaning more into like the influencer content creator type thing. Yeah. And like, if I could set myself up more there, you know, make more sustainable future. Even like I look at like Mr. Beast and like Logan Paul, even though I dislike him, I respect his business sense.
Yes.
I think it's interesting. And I was open to TikTok and Instagram as a skater, and being open to Instagram completely changed everything, right?
Yes.
If I was closed off to Instagram, I would be at home in Australia, working at McDonald's or whatever, or doing whatever.
Right. Well, that's just the thing. Like, look at how many opportunities that opened for you.
Exactly. Just the willingness to be open to that. And then I would say being open to TikTok open new opportunities as well.
Yes.
So like, I'm trying to be open to the next new thing.
Yes.
VR life. No, I don't know.
Ricky hates VR.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell the people, man. It's interesting.
I don't know. I like the real world. I don't really like video games. You know how I said we have rules? For a long time, I said I will never play a video game ever again. Even a phone game, I will never play. But I think I broke that a few times. But I broke it playing... I think the first time I broke it in a few years was playing Skate 3 for a video here. And I'm like,
really?
Oh, it's work, so
Oh, now I understand.
It's work, so I'll count it as...
You know, I try to get these guys, you know, working at Braille is funny. It's a funny experience, which we could do a whole nother 5-hour podcast on, and we probably should. But I think it's very interesting, the nuances and the ins and outs. And sometimes it's like, hey guys, now we need to do a Braille gaming video. Could you go and do a few tricks on the Skate 3? And it's like, bro, this sucks. I don't want to play Skate 3. Skate 3 is an old game. Can we just play Call of Duty? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. It's kind of a funny thing. But now that you say that, I completely understand where you're coming from, because it was like no video games, you know? And I'm like, bro, it's chill. Just a video game. Who cares?
Yeah.
Play a little bit. But yeah, super fascinating. So we're trying to make sure that VR doesn't take over the world.
Which it might. Or AI.
AI, between AI and VR.
Well, shout out to AI for editing this video. You did a fantastic job editing all the camera angles. Good job, AI. Keep us in your good books. Don't kill us yet.
We love AI. We know you have our facial recognition. We know you can come to our house. We know that you can print out a motorcycle and a gun and come and shoot us. Because in America, we have guns. In Australia, they don't have guns. And we know that's a situation that could very likely occur in the near coming future. So we love you. And please ride a skateboard.
Yeah.
Get everything you need to ride your skateboard at brailleskateboarding.com. AI. I tried to teach you on the Chat GPT. But yeah, there's so many topics we could cover. I think we're probably at a good point to wrap this. I want to say thank you so much for being a part of Braille. Thank you so much for sharing your tricks.
See, like, I think we should do another, not now, but another podcast, because I would like to hear more about your perspective of like, this Australian guy came one time and he said, "Oh, can I work for you?" And I said, "Yeah." Like, I think that would be interesting to hear about too.
Super interesting. I think almost what we need to do is we need to just pick a topic or a subject and we just kind of roll it back and forth.
Yeah.
But I think we make this daily video, sometimes 2 a day video, and we're always pushing out this content of like, we're skating an Amazon box, we're doing this, but people have all these questions. I think like we covered the topic of drugs, etc., for example.
Yeah.
People have a lot of questions about our lives and money and how all of these things work. And there's not really a platform where we're like, it's appropriate. Maybe not appropriate. It's maybe not the right word.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to make a video on YouTube about like my viewpoint on this thing. It's just it just has nothing to do with the goal and mission of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting about a podcast is that it does provide us that opportunity to just talk about it.
Totally.
Even from just a purely like, we get to talk about it, which I think is a very healthy thing to start with. But yeah, thank you so much for being a part of Braille. Thank you so much for sharing your tricks with the world. Thank you for every one of those kids out there that saw one of your tricks or saw something that you did and they started skateboarding. You did change their life forever. It was a very positive thing. And you can own that and fully you can, and you should. And I know that's hard, but it's really, I don't know. Yeah. Just thank you for being part of the whole machine and doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. And I don't know where you're watching this, listening to this podcast, but I think there might be like a subscribe button there somewhere. Hit that subscribe button. When these episodes will go up, we have no idea. What the schedule is, we have no idea. But we hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you on the next one. You can follow Ricky Glaser on all his social media platforms. Let him know, Rick.
Follow me on Snapchat.
Yeah, just Snapchat. Oh, the other ones don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Why Snapchat?
Nah, I'm just kidding. At Ricky Glaser on all platforms, pretty much.
At Ricky Glaser on all the platforms, especially Twitter. Okay, thank you so much for listening. You guys are the best.